Dolphin fan. Let's go! What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We are back here for another one on this Monday evening before y'all get into that Miami Heat game tonight. We had to keep y'all updated because we got a few things that I forgot to go over yesterday. And we got some other stuff I got to go over today. So, man, we got a pretty jam-packed show for the lull season here. Today we are going to go over, South Florida reporter showed a video. They explained it as why they think Tua has the it factor. We're going to go into that. Man, I've got video confirmation of Isaiah Wynn at left guard, my friends. When we over here were saying that's the spot, that's where it's at, and then when we heard Liam Eichenberg was cross-training at center, we were like, okay, well, we got, I know the local reporters under an embargo, and I've been not arguing, but every time I've seen them go back and forth about how he's only a tackle on the show, I pointed it out. I don't know what they're talking about, how he's only a tackle. Well, we got legitimate confirmation that Isaiah Wynn is getting a lot of work at left guard and a big look at left guard in this offense right now. We're going to go over that. A little bit more of an update on how Achane and Cam Smith looked, and that's all from the outside source. They are not under the embargo of the local South Florida reporter, so we're going to play those clips. Also, a couple other things we're going to go over here. Drew Rosenhaus had some interesting comments about Connor Williams, Zach Sieler, and Dalvin Cook yesterday. Tyreek Hill comes out and says the Dolphins are going to go as far as Tua takes them. Is he right, or is it what we've been saying for 3 years at the offensive line, that this offense will only go as far as the offensive line allows them? And then Butch Barry, he talked about Austin Jackson, Liam Eichenberg. We're going to go into all that. So we got a lot to go over. Please do me the favor. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. We've already got a Josh Allen fan in the room who doesn't understand that when you call a quarterback a spot thrower, that's a compliment. You are taught from Pee-wee to throw to spots. What do you think Drew Brees made his career off of? What do you think anticipation is? You are throwing to a spot, anticipating the receiver is going to be there when he comes out of his break. So we've gone over this. We light all y'all up. You might as well just come in here and just say you don't know football. That's better. Just come in here and say you don't know football instead of trying to use the spot thrower narrative. Because that's a narrative pushed by people who don't understand the game of football, don't understand the quarterback position. And Tua can read defenses. Go look at the Detroit game. Go look at the Chicago game where he utilized over 11 to 12 different receivers. Hell, go look at the Gesicki touchdown against Detroit. Gesicki was like the fourth read on that throw to the back of the end zone. Big boy throw. What are we talking about here? Stop spitting narratives you don't know. All you do, and these people come in here thinking they got a gotcha moment, but instead all you're telling the chat and all you're telling me is you don't know ball. You're a casual football fan masquerading as someone who knows ball. All right? That's what you're telling me. So, enjoy. It looks like the chat took care of you already. Kudos to the chat. All right, let's talk about this, though. Let's talk about Dalvin a little bit, but not to the sense of where you're going to talk about. Let's talk about the running back market right now, because it has gotten interesting in the last 24 hours. If you've seen over the last couple hours, James Robinson, former Jaguars running back until Travis Etienne came there and he got pushed to the side. I don't know why. He was just cut, and he just signed a 2-year, $4 million deal not too long ago with the New England Patriots. He was just cut. Now, let's go even further. We got Dalvin on the open market right now. We talk about his numbers. I've told y'all, I think if you fall in that $7 million range, give or take $1 million, down to 6, up to 8, you're going to lock that in. It's done. But look at where this market is heading right now. You got Saquon Barkley and you got Josh Jacobs, who are on franchise tags right now. And it looks like both of those guys are coming together to take a stand for running backs to get paid. And maybe it's because they saw the defensive tackle market go off the freaking chart this offseason. We're like, hey, we got to get paid too. But now you got Saquon Barkley. And you've got Josh Jacobs taking these stands. Plus, let's add on, Kareem Hunt's still out there. Zeke Elliott is still out there. I mean, you're looking at this running back situation right now. I'm going to tell you this. Saquon and Jacobs might hurt the cause for the Cooks, the Zekes, the Leonard Fournettes right now that are still out there trying to get paid. Hell, then again, maybe they will help them because they're going to come in so high that the Leonard Fournettes and the Zekes are going to come in so low. I don't think Dalvin will, but maybe those guys come in so low to teams. But this running back market is very interesting to watch right now because you've got talent everywhere. Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette, Zeke Elliott, Dalvin Cook are free agents. Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs are basically threatening to hold out a training camp on franchise tags because they want to get paid. And Saquon even said he's standing up for the running backs right now, the running back market. So it's crazy right now when you look at the way the running back market is going. Who knows? And I don't know. Listen, it'll help the lower end guys, right? Because they'll just come in and say, hey, those guys are fighting for all that money. We'll take less. We just want to play ball, and they'll get signed. But I don't know if you guys have seen Zeke. I don't know. Listen, Dalvin Cook's better than Zeke. That ain't close. But look at what this. Have anyone seen the shape Zeke Elliott's in right now? And listen, I am not advocating to sign Zeke Elliott. Don't get me wrong here. But I've watched training videos of him this offseason. That man is shredded. He lost that Cabo weight. That cut from the Cowboys looks like it motivated him a little bit. But still, Kareem Hunt's out there, Leonard Fournette. And they're not being touched. They're not even sniffed. That's why Dalvin Cook, he got to be careful with how he handles this situation. Because sure, he's going to be hot for the immediate time when the release happens. But we're talking about Zeke Elliott, Leonard Fournette, and Kareem Hunt have like zero market right now. Does Dalvin Cook all of a sudden think he's going to get a $10+ million mark? I don't see it. And then you got Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley taking a stand. What if one of the Giants or the Raiders, because we know the Raiders wanted to move off Josh Jacobs last offseason. Josh McDaniels was not a fan, but then he had the season he had, and they hit him with the franchise tag instead of giving an extension. What if they decide to rescind the franchise tag and just outright release them and then go get one of those cheaper options right now? Like, what if the Raiders say, you know what? Bye, Josh. We'll go get a Kareem Hunt on the cheap right now. We'll let you roll. We'll let you go. Bye. Now, all of a sudden, Josh Jacobs is on the market. So, it's very interesting to see because I don't think it's going to end favorably for Josh Jacobs and Saquon. It might end up better for Saquon. You know what I mean? But clearly there's a divide in there in Las Vegas since McDaniels came over there, right? And they just slapped on that franchise tag out of necessity because of how well he played last year. But, going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. And essentially, how it's going to impact Dalvin Cook's situation. Because like I said, sure, you get released. You're the hot topic. You're hot right now. But what if he does truly want to wait this out and 2 weeks, 3 weeks pass? You know? All of a sudden, you know, you start going to the back of people's minds. I mean, I was talking to someone about the Jets yesterday, right? And they were saying, you know, if the Jets want him, why don't they have it done? And I said, it's as simple as this. You know, you're going to wait until training camp for your assessment of Breece Hall. You know, they right now I've heard conflicting reports of whether Breece Hall is going to be ready for week 1 or whether he's not. You know, if they wait till the end of July, right, a month and a half, they'll probably have a better grasp on where Breece Hall is going to be at. And that may make them move. But hear me out. This is a theory. This is not substantiated with anyone I've talked to. This is a theory of mine. So I'm going to throw this out there to all of y'all. And I don't know if I have. Maybe I have. I don't know. But this is a theory. At least I'm telling people privately. Am I the only one who gets a sense when you look at the New York Jets and $24 million in cap space freed, and then you look at the receivers beyond Garrett Wilson, am I the only one who doesn't buy it and thinks they might come out of nowhere and try to work something out with D-Hop? You know, am I the only one who's sitting here saying, you know, they got $24 million. They could probably, you know, pay D-Hop $14 to $18 million and they still have money left over. Am I the only one who thinks they might make a play for D-Hop and add to that room? I just look at the receiver room and I'm like, you know, right? So, you know, this is just a theory of mine. I just look at them and I see the Jets. They're all in. If they don't think they're going to get a Dalvin Cook, I kind of feel like they might make. I mean, go look at their depth chart right now. Go look at their wide receiver depth chart right now. All right? Go look at that. It's not impressive, especially against our secondary. I mean, Garrett Wilson, McCole Hardman, Alan Lazard, Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, Randall Cobb. Please. What kind of fear is that room striking in the hearts of any good secondary or defense in the NFL? Zilch. You take out Garrett, you're pretty much locked in. McCall Hardman's just a vert guy. Just run. That's it. Right? Alan Lazard, stop. All right? I mean, I'm more afraid of Braxton Berrios than I am of Alan Lazard. All right? You know? The guy's a better blocker than a receiver. Aaron Rodgers just likes the guy. And then Randall Cobb, what is this, 2018? Stop right now. Right? Denzel Mims, talk about a guy who hasn't worked out since he's been drafted. Corey Davis, we all knew it was a bad contract when they overpaid him when he left, when they got him from Tennessee. Looks like it's playing out that way still. I'm just saying. Alan Lazard is not better than Braxton Berrios. Braxton Berrios is a better route runner than Alan Lazard. Just look at if Braxton Berrios had Aaron Rodgers instead of Zach Wilson and company, yeah, Berrios would be. I already said this. Like, if it wasn't for Chosen, because Chosen looked like he about to pop off, Berrios probably haven't had a career year this year. I still think Berrios going to have a really good year this year. So, yeah, and I agree with Ian Baller. Robbie Chosen is better than Lazard. Like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll even go this far. From what I'm hearing, Eric Eichenberg might be just as better than Alan Lazard. Okay, so I'm just saying, I look at them as a sneaky dark, and this is my own opinion. I look at them as a sneaky dark horse in D-Hop. I don't trust that. They got too much money for me to trust them. $24 million? Nah, I don't trust that. And get Aaron Rodgers all the targets you can. You know, you add D-Hop to Garrett Wilson, all of a sudden you're stressing secondaries a little bit more, right? Even I can admit that. Let's say D-Hop isn't what he was 4 years ago. That's cool. He can still high point the football. He's still got great hands. He's still a good route runner, right? Aaron Rodgers could still use a receiver like that. Let's not get that twisted. So, we'll see. We'll see. But for some reason, I'm watching. I don't trust that situation. Especially with the Patriots bringing Chosen in. Chosen. My God, they wish they're bringing Chosen in, huh? Especially with them bringing in DeAndre in. See, and then you watch, they're bringing in DeAndre, and they cut, right? They made sure to cut James Robinson and free up some even more space for Chosen. The Patriots already had about $14 million before they cut James Robinson. So they got to be up around $16 million right now. So the Patriots might be planning not to let D-Hop leave. We just saw D-Hop. No one knew until D-Hop posted a picture. No one knew he was visiting the Titans till yesterday. Right? What if the Jets? I don't know. Now the Jets said they would turn over every stone on Dalvin Cook. You got to feel they would have the same sense on a guy like D-Hop looking at their receiver core. I'm just saying. So, we'll see how it plays out. But that's something that I've been keeping on my eye out, and privately I've been having that conversation with people, just saying to them that, I don't trust this. Like, they got way too much money right now. They ain't taking $24 million into the trade deadline. You cannot get me in on that. I'm sorry. Just can't happen. So, hey, we'll see what happens. We will see how that all goes, but that's something that I'm going to be watching. That whole D-Hop plays out because, man, they've got money to spend. I mean, if D-Hop was willing to play ball financially, they could go D-Hop and Dalvin Cook. They really could. So, something to keep an eye on, because that's a team where, they're a couple pieces away where they could really give the Bills a run for their money for second place in the AFC East behind us, right? All right, so let's get into it. Let's start off. I wanted to go over this yesterday. I want to play this video from Omar Kelly, and this was him explaining why he thinks this video, right, is an example of why he thinks Tua has the it factor. So let's play the video and let's go into it. Remember, this is Omar Kelly posted this video, and this is one of his pieces of evidence of why he thinks Tua has that it factor. So let's watch this. And let's see if I won't narrate it. Let's see if you guys can get where he's going with it before we actually get into his description. All right. All right, so you got Blackman, White, Thompson, and Tua. Accuracy, right? The net. That's Blackman right there. Just missed it. Right? So now we got Tua stepping up. This is everyone's first take. All right? So Tua steps up, moves through. Just missed it. Right? Blackman came a little closer, and White came closer too with the first throw. So now you got Skylar Thompson up. Just missed it too. All right. Now this is where it gets interesting. So Mike White's going to come up, and we already know how this is ending. Swing and a miss, but real close. Real close. Woo! All right. Now look at Blackman, the UDFA we brought in. Remember, camp body, whatever, right? And doosh, right in the net. So now the starter, the franchise, got to walk up. All right? The franchise.
Watch Tua respond.
And look at Omar just said, watch Tua respond.
This is what competitors do.
Boom! Right on the money. And, you know, you heard Omar say, told you. That was one of his reasons of why he sees the it factor even in practice, right? Blackman hits it. Tua knows he's got to respond. Tua is saying to himself, and what do we call him? The silent assassin up here, right? And he walks up there, casual as casual can be, and you saw he was probably arguably the most off on the first round, right? Maybe. Wasn't that far off, but he was the farthest off. Maybe you could make the argument. And then bam, he steps up, realizes I ain't going to let some UDFA do me like that, son. So he hits the high and away net, drains it, and, you know, that's Omar. You know, Omar basically, you know, he said he's always been convinced Tua has it. You know, it's still a competition. Even though it's practice, those competitive juices are flowing into a Tagovailoa. He still wants to win, even in practice. And I thought that was very interesting. I thought that was just a nice example. A nice example of Tua just conducting himself with that swag, right? Just conducting himself with a little bit of swag. All right. Now, continuing on here, before we get into, you know, some stuff about contract extensions, let's go over 2 of these clips for all of you guys, okay? And let's start off with this clip. And this talks about Tua this year, but also here is where the Isaiah Wynn nugget comes in here. I want everyone to listen right here. It's about 4 minutes, this clip, all right? So this is the first part of this segment we're going to watch here. So you are going to see the gentleman who's going to do the most talking is going to be Rick Spielman, the former NFL GM of the Vikings and such, okay? So let's get into this.
I think if Tua can stay healthy, this team can certainly be a playoff team and perhaps make a deep playoff run.
Yeah, no, Tua looked, he is very thick through his lower body. Looked like he's added some very good weight. I thought we were there last training camp that his arm looked stronger. He looked more comfortable in the offense because it is his second year, so he's been through a season. He has a relationship with Mike McDaniel. You can see that out on the field. They're talking a lot. I know Miami's probably on the offense and defense is a whole nother discussion, but made some adjustments to what they do. But you can see just the level of confidence, knowing the system, seeing Tua get through his progressions, and the decision-making, even though it was just a mini camp and in shorts, but just seemed crisper, quicker processing, and much more comfortable than we saw maybe when it was getting installed last year.
There you go.
And him still trying to figure out. But there was no question. I think before he started getting the concussions, he was having an MVP type year as far as from a numbers and production standpoint.
Yep.
So I think you should expect some big things from this Dolphins offense. Woo-wee. Pete made a great point while we were down there, is that I think Mike McDaniel is going to grow not only as a head coach, but an offensive coordinator because he does call the plays as well. There was a situation, I think, was in Buffalo last year.
Oh, yeah.
That he threw the ball, I think, 3 times on 3rd and short, and they're going to have to be able to run the ball. And, you know, if Mostert's back and healthy, Wilson, and then Achane, what we'll talk about in a little bit, plus the playmakers at the receiver position. But it's all going to come down to how they develop up front, because they did not make, out of all the moves they made, and I think they made some very significant moves, Chris Greer did this offseason, but the offensive line will be the biggest question going into training camp. Now, they brought in Isaiah Wynn. He was lined up at left guard the day I was down there, or the day we watched it. So he has not been worked at tackle. Armstead, I don't believe in his entire career, has made it through a 16 or 17 game season. That's another concern of mine. Jackson, I did not see practice much.
Austin Jackson, the right tackle?
Yeah, Austin Jackson.
Yep.
Eichenberg was in playing center, so they've moved him around at different positions. And then biggest one was that Connor Williams is holding out right now, and he was not down in camp. And they just signed him last year from Dallas.
Right.
It was a 2-year contract, so he's entering the final year of his contract. So I'm sure that they're trying to work out something to potentially extend him, because he was having a pretty good year for him last year at center before he got banged up a little bit.
So, I mean, this isn't any grand proclamation, but you can have Jalen Waddle, you can have Tyreek Hill, you can have the running backs that we talked about, Tua Tagovailoa. If your offensive line is a problem, none of that other stuff matters, because it just doesn't work if you don't have an offensive line. So on a scale of 1 to 10, and we're sitting here on June 8th, what's your concern level with the offensive line in Miami?
Probably a 5 out of 10 right now.
All right.
But they have to stay healthy. That's the number one thing. And then I think Mike McDaniel, from a play calling standpoint, when he came from San Francisco, a lot of their offense, again, they have a very good offensive line, but based on the running game. And I think when Mike McDaniel, his first time as a head coach, you get all these new shiny toys out there running around, that maybe he got away from that philosophy a little bit. And maybe he learned some things as a first-time offensive coordinator / head coach, and understands that at certain points in the game, hopefully you're going to be able to run the ball. And if they can run the ball effectively next year, I think they're going to be very good. They were just looking at, they were like tied for 25th in rushing offense last year. They were 4th in passing offense. So if they can get that even up into the top half of the league, that's going to be a tremendous help. And it'll take some pressure off of Tua as well, and him getting pinged around in that pocket.
Okay, so a lot to unpack there. Let's start off with this. Isaiah Wynn, he said right there, Rick Spielman, former GM who was at Minicamp, they didn't even work Isaiah Wynn at tackle. They didn't even work him at tackle. And I've been going back and forth with people and telling y'all, with these South Florida media members that have been trying to sell to all of y'all, there's people who have said there's no way he's a guard, he's a tackle. And I kept telling all y'all, the move is left guard, the move is left guard. Bam! Left guard. Basically, that's where he got all of his work at. Huge. Look at Spielman. Remember, Spielman's the man that drafted Dalvin Cook, stressing the importance of the run game, finding that balance on this offense, and what it could really do for this offense, right? And then when you hear that he's only got a 5 out of 10 on the offensive line concern, wow, that's that he must have liked what he's seen from Isaiah Wynn, because he mentioned Armstead and Connor Williams and Austin Jackson. He didn't see them practice. Well, obviously Connor Williams and Teron Armstead not, but even Austin Jackson, he didn't see him practice very much at right tackle. So he must have liked what he saw. But Isaiah Wynn, they are giving him all the reps they can right now at left guard, while Liam Eichenberg's getting the majority of the reps at center. That tells you the shift is happening. Teron Armstead, Isaiah Wynn, and Connor Williams is going to be your center to your left side, with Robert Hunt and Austin Jackson on the right. I feel a lot better about that with Eichenberg as a backup, and keep training him at center. It looks like they're going to give him all the reps they can at center. So that is a big development. That's because, remember, they're not under the embargo that these South Florida reporters are under. Those South Florida reporters got to abstain to the embargo because they don't want to lose access to the team and the players. So that tells you what their idea at left guard is. Isaiah Wynn getting a ton of reps at left guard, really no work at tackle during minicamp, confirmed from CBS, who are not under that South Florida embargo. So there you go. There you go. Now, Rick Spielman was then asked about what he saw from Cam Smith and Devon Achane during his time there, and I know this is a question everyone wants to continue to ask. So here's about a 6-minute clip of him discussing Cam Smith and Devon Achane, and a little bit of Dalvin Cook mixed in there as well.
But let me ask you about the rookies that were there. You mentioned Devon Achane, the running back out of Texas A&M, who's absolutely explosive. They also drafted Cam Smith, a cornerback out of South Carolina. And, the things that I had heard about Cam Smith was that good athlete, needs to be a better teammate. So I want to ask you first about Cam Smith. Did you get a chance to see him at all? And number one, and number two, what effect does the aforementioned Vic Fangio have on a guy who's a good athlete but maybe needs to mature a little bit?
Yeah, two things. He was running with the second group out there. They were rotating a lot of the young guys in and out this time of year. There was no question when you watched his movement skills, you can see the athleticism. Vic Fangio's system is more of a zone type system, a cover 4, which means 4 across the board on a deep
run
half.
A lot of man.
Vic does not want to give up big plays, and they'll do. But the one thing about this defense, and when we talked to Jalen Ramsey a little bit about it, it is a complicated defense that takes time. And I don't know. It just looked a few times watching him. There may have been some mental bust, but that's normal.
Yeah,
especially this time of year, coming in and trying to learn a new system and a system like Vic Fangio runs. But what makes Vic Fangio's system so unique is that the pre-snap and what they're shown and what the quarterback may think the coverage is, and then how they change post-snap is a totally different coverage, and that's why it's been so effective. But they're going to play probably, I imagine there'll be some 2-man and some things like that, but a lot of different types of zone coverage and combination coverages, and that takes time to learn. But last year under Boyer, they were a lot of blitzing and a lot of man coverage, so that's why they gave up some big plays, and I think they were ranked 27th in pass defense last year, but I understand they had a lot of injuries on the back end as well, and a lot of guys missed a lot of time.
Points per game.
But I think they will start to eliminate some of the big plays that were given up last year. Granted, they stay healthy, and now that you went out and get a Jalen Ramsey to team up with Xavier Howard, that's going to be maybe, if not the best, one of the best quarterback or cornerback tandems in the league.
Let's go.
Right, and Noah Igbenogany is still there, former first-round pick. He's fallen down the depth chart, but he's able to refine himself. And the ironic thing about what you just said there, Rick, is that while rookies typically, especially long athletic rookies, typically are better in man coverage, that's what ends up giving up big plays. And that's to your point. Also, zone defense sounds easy. You just stand in the zone, but as you sort of noted there, it can become incredibly complicated. And when cornerbacks have to think, that's when they get beat because they're not able just to react and play football. So we'll see what that means for Cam Smith. A little easier path to the field, I would imagine, is Devon Achane, who is electric. And while he's undersized, he can run inside or out. It is funny that they just keep stockpiling running backs there. Achane's basically the same size as Mike McDaniel. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the picture of them walking on the field there. Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr., who feel like the same player, Devon Achane, Savon Ahmed still on the roster, Myles Gaskin's there. And I'll ask you about Achane first, and then I'll ask you about the interest perhaps in Dalvin Cook and how he might fit in such a crowded running back room.
Yeah, Achane, there is no question. You can see the explosiveness. You can see him.
Let's go.
Cut on a dime. Again, the offensive and defensive linemen are pulling up, but you can see the movement skills, the speed, everything that you've seen on tape at Texas A&M when he came out. Caught the ball extremely well during
he's
the
going to be one of the best
I was
pass
at.
catching
So I can see
running
him
backs
being
in the NFL
utilized
this year as a rookie.
in a lot of different ways in this offense. The biggest thing is that they have to have the depth at the running back because Mostert's had some durability issues. Wilson has some durability issues. So I think Achane will have a big effect or be a factor in his rookie year down there. I'm excited to see when the pads come on and see all the things that we saw on tape, if that will translate. And from what I saw at practice, it looks like that it will.
Beautiful.
So, knowing what you just said, why would there be any interest in Dalvin Cook? Because if you have Achane and you have Wilson and you have Mostert, where does Dalvin Cook fit into that?
I just think and Chris Greer has done a great job collecting toys. And if you can end up with a Dalvin Cook down there, that's just going to be one more explosive playmaker on that offensive side of the ball. But, we talked about that, and it was great from the media standpoint to kind of, hey, what if you put Dalvin Cook in that offense too? And just think what that would be, which it would, because Dalvin Cook is still a very good football player and still a very explosive playmaker. But I think that I tried to, as I was sitting there watching practice, I just invested a draft pick in Achane. I want to make sure he gets on the field. So do I make a move to try to get a Dalvin Cook or not?
Right.
But to put him in the backfield with all the playmakers that they have, that would be a very, very exciting offense. And with the durability concerns on some of the other running backs, because they're all smaller running backs, that Dalvin Cook would be definitely a great addition, in my opinion, down in Miami if Minnesota moves on from him.
So, and they obviously did. So there you go. Rick Spielman, the man who drafted him, kind of advocating that based on durability alone, which is something we've talked about on this channel, based on durability alone of these guys, Mostert and Wilson, everyone keep 4.9 yards per carry, 4.9 yards per carry. Well, A, they aren't durable, and B, I will go back to what I said. What did Mostert and Wilson Jr. do in December and January last year? Raheem Mostert was good in December against the Bills. He had 136 yards in December against the Bills. Half of those came on a 60-plus yard run. And he was good against the Jets. Jeff Wilson was decent against the Jets in December. Other than that, when you go to the playoffs, Raheem Mostert didn't even suit up. Jeff Wilson had 10 carries for 26 yards. On our losing streak, that running back room did nothing to help Tua Tagovailoa and our offense. And the one time they did, it was against the Bills. Tua was lights out too, but our defense let us down. So really, the running back room in December and January showed up for like a game and a half. We'll count the Bills game for Raheem and half the game for the Jets of Raheem and Jeff Wilson Jr. When Skylar Thompson would be in, it's not like you could lean on Raheem and Jeff Wilson to make life easier for Skylar Thompson. Same thing when Teddy was in there too. And listen, shout out to Chad Jones. No one's a bigger advocate for Devon Achane in this community than me. I've been talking about this guy for over a year, 9 months, a year on this channel, and for over a year on my podcast, Fin Too Deep with Neil. No one's a bigger advocate for him than I am. But at the end of the day, he's a rookie. We don't know what he's going to do in year one. You don't know yet. And quite frankly, Dalvin Cook and Devon Achane as a 1-2 punch, to me, that's going to become the best running back tandem in the NFL by the end of the year if they both stay healthy. Mixing it with Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson and those guys, that might be the way to keep Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson healthy for the December and January run. Is put him in the rotation with Dalvin and Devon Achane. Raheem relieves Devon Achane, and Jeff Wilson relieves Dalvin Cook. That might be your way to keep those guys healthy and less banged up. So we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But Cam Smith sounds like he's starting. We've heard good things locally. Good things there from Rick Spielman as well. But hey, we'll see how the running back room works out. Devon Achane, as advertised. Can't wait to see him in action this year. Can't wait. So, Omar Kelly put out a tweet yesterday, and he said agent Drew Rosenhaus told 7 Sports Extra, right? He does the Sunday night segment every week there, right? He can't talk about Connor Williams and Zach Sieler's push for new contracts with the Dolphins. He's told both clients he'll keep the request for an extension in-house, discussing it only with the Dolphins. Rosenhaus also said he expects Christian Wilkins, who isn't his client, to get $20 million a year or more, and doesn't expect a big money deal for Dalvin Cook, $10 million a season, to happen with Miami because of all the extensions the Dolphins have to do with their own players. Now, how can we break this out? First of all, y'all are going to be, let's get Dalvin Cook out of the way. Notice how he said big money deal and he put in brackets $10 million. This is the deal. If you're going to sign Dalvin for between $6 to $8 million a year, that's going to be on a 1-year deal. To lock Dalvin on a multi-year deal, it's going to take a commitment of $9 to $10 million a year. Now, I'm not talking guaranteed. I'm talking about overall, at least, for a 2-year deal. That's the sense of what is happening right now. So, don't expect a big money deal. That's it. But I also want to say, taking care of extensions frees up. I mean, you can go to over the cap right now. Go put in Christian Wilkins' extension. It frees up $7.73 million. Just an extension for Christian Wilkins. Over 490 of you in the room. Please smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. So, an extension frees up $7 million for Christian Wilkins. That would take us to over $20 million. Actually, take us over just over $21 million. Because we got about $13.4 million. That would clear up about $17.7. That would take us to about just over $21 million. Even more incentive to sign Dalvin Cook on a 1-year deal and then figure out if you want to go further into year 2. Just saying. 495 of you in the room. Please smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. Tyreek Hill says the Dolphins go as far as Tua takes them. Tyreek Hill statistically is on pace to become a Hall of Famer if the speedy receiver stays consistent with his current level of production for the next 4 or 5 years. But the 7-time Pro Bowl receiver isn't shy about sharing his opinion that the 2023 Miami Dolphins will only go as far as Tua Tagovailoa takes us, and Hill is confident Miami is a Super Bowl contender because of the growth he's seen from his 4th-year quarterback. Tagovailoa has better mastery of Mike McDaniel's offense and is working to form better chemistry with his receivers, which include the addition of 2 new receivers in Robbie Chosen and Braxton Berrios. And you'll also see him building up his rapport with a guy like Eric Eichenberg, who's going to make the roster this year. But more importantly, he's taken ownership of the offense and the team, Hill points out. Tua has stepped up a lot into his leadership role. I know last year was my first year playing with him, but seeing him this year, he's more vocal with the offense, leading in group chats and stuff like that, said Hill, who had a career high in receptions, receiving yards, and scored 8 touchdowns last season in his first year with Miami. He's organizing workouts outside of the Miami Dolphins stadium. When I first got here, I said, bro, you should be comfortable with telling a group of wideouts to meet you somewhere. We're going to pull up regardless. So he's going to be doing a great job. According to Hill of Tagovailoa, who finished 2022 as the NFL's top-rated passer, wanted those workouts to be in his home state of Hawaii. His playmakers would be hopping on Spirit Airlines to make it happen. That way I can sneak a vacation in with the family and also get work in, said Hill. Hill, a full-time All-Pro selection, said last Thursday his goal is to be the first receiver in the NFL to deliver a 2,000 receiving yard season. Last year, he averaged 100.6 yards per game, but it should be pointed out he didn't play with Tagovailoa and the starting Dolphins quarterback for 5 games last season. There was a moment last season when Hill was on pace to achieve that 2,000-yard milestone, but he battled a few injuries late in the year, which is when Miami's offense struggled, especially in games where Tagovailoa was sidelined by a second concussion. I feel like I've got the right tools around me, Hill said. I've got obviously the most accurate quarterback in the NFL. I've got one of the best head coaches in the NFL. And also my position coach is a monster also. So just having those things and keeping the same mindset every day, I want to get better. So, and then it goes on and it discusses how he was just winging it out there last year with his athleticism. And, you know, he didn't have a firm grasp of the playbook like he does now. And this year everything has slowed down. And he said he does want to break the record. All right, so 500 of you in the room. Please smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. The 2,000 yards, I hope that comes organically. Don't force it. Chosen's got to be fed. Achane's got to be fed. I think the ball's got to be spread around more, and we got to run the ball more. So, listen, let's not force that by any stretch of the imagination. That's the first thing I want to say. The second thing I want to say here, you know, you talked about, you saw him talk about the receiver sessions. That's why Waddle's been onto every receiver session this year. He's talked about how advanced the route concepts are with Nick Hicks. One of the reasons why I used to harp on Mike Gesicki is because I know for a fact Mike Gesicki used to barely come out to those receiver sessions. While they were posting photos of them while working out on Performance Field, he was out on yachts. All right? You see a guy like Eric Izakama, he wants to become a bigger factor in this offense, wants to become a weapon Tua can utilize more. So what's happening? Look at all the work Eric Izakama's put in this offseason so far. He's putting in the work, right? He is putting in the work right now. So, I just love seeing it, man. Even Chosen since he got here and Braxton since he got here, they have been putting in the work with this team trying to make it happen. So, man, listen, all I got to say is shout out to that receiver room. They want to be the best in the NFL because they are the best in the NFL on paper, and they're putting the work in to become the best in the NFL on the field. So shout out to that receiver room, man. They putting in the work. All right, Butch Barry, guys. Butch Barry, this article from Sun Sentinel here. New Dolphins O-line coach Butch Barry has strong early impression of Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg. So this is for subscribers only, so this is behind a paywall for all y'all. New Dolphins offensive line coach Butch Barry is coming off a tumultuous season with the Denver Broncos and has a couple of question marks on his new unit in Miami. Barry will be in charge of developing a line that had a personnel upgrade in 2022 with left tackle Teron Armstead and center Connor Williams, but still has work to do around them and right guard Robert Hunt. Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel said a move from previous offensive line coach Matt Applebaum to Barry was made because last season Frank Smith, the offensive coordinator, had to work too closely with the line, and McDaniel in turn had to take on some of Smith's coordinator duties. With 3/5 of the offensive line apparently in place, although Williams is skipping out on mandatory minicamp, mildly complicates that. The two spots in question are left guard and right tackle. Third-year lineman Liam Eichenberg and fourth-year blocker Austin Jackson, respectively, are expected to get their opportunity to start in those slots. McDaniel has stated he believes those two need a second year in this offensive system before they can truly be judged. That second year will take place under new positional tutelage as Barry is the Dolphins' 10th offensive line coach in 9 years. Come on, Butch. Barry sees potential in Jackson, whose fifth-year option was not picked up this offseason, putting him on the final year of his rookie contract after Miami used a first-round pick on him in 2020. He's been awesome to work with. He really has, said Butch Barry, who also was the Miami Hurricanes offensive line coach in 2019 before Manny Diaz fired him after one season. He's been very intentional in everything that we try to do. He's taken that approach, the process, the standard that we're trying to go about, and he's embraced it. And look, it's not going to be perfect. No player plays a perfect game. No player has a perfect practice. But he has intentionality in everything he's trying to do. And he comes with an emphasis every day. Every day he has an emphasis on what he wants to get better at. And as a coach, that's all you can ever ask for. Eichenberg has had an interesting stretch through organized team activities and minicamp. Without Williams, a converted guard last offseason, Eichenberg has taken snaps at center. A standout left tackle in college at Notre Dame, Eichenberg has moved to left guard last season. He still hopes to win that left guard spot. When things like that happen, it gives you opportunities to have other people step up to the plate. So now you've got another guy who hasn't really had a lot of exposure to that position go out there and help this offense execute at a pretty high level throughout the offseason and do some really good things for us. Eichenberg finished minicamp, the last Dolphins player to wear the orange practice at jersey, as a previous session's player of the day, showing the coaches appreciated his work at center. I think that is a great cross-reference reps, and he's done everything to the right way to be the left guard also, Butch Barry said. He's done a lot of really good things. At left guard, the Dolphins could go the way of Robert Jones, Dan Feeney, or Isaiah Wynn, who has mostly played left tackle, but is versatile enough to play on the interior of the line. See, David Furones can't mention Isaiah Wynn at left guard like CBS just did for us earlier because he's under that embargo. Butch Barry doesn't necessarily come to Miami on a career upswing. His dismissal after the Broncos' 2022 coach Nathaniel Hackett was also fired was reportedly welcomed to players in the Denver locker room, according to KOA Colorado. But he also valued the season with the Broncos as a learning experience. I think it's always a great opportunity to be in front and understand what players are wanting and needing to be at their best. Players have to be coachable, and you have to work yourself around what makes them be their best, right? Because our job is to fulfill dreams for the players. That's why you get into coaching, is to help players fulfill their dreams. And so you have to know how to maneuver yourself within the room to make the most out of that. As for Barry's job thus far in Miami, he's received positive feedback from Coach Frank Smith. It's been great. Butch Barry is a great teacher, the offensive coordinator said. Obviously, he's familiar with Mike helps because coming from being in the system in San Francisco, he has an understanding of the concepts and what we're looking to accomplish. Remember, they basically turned a power gap scheme over into the outside zone blocking last year, and they actually saw an uptick in their pass block win rate and such, but the players just didn't like Butch Barry. Maybe that's why we haven't moved on Dalton Risner. Reisner, sorry. I apologize. Reisner. So a few things to break down here. You know, it seems like they're a lot more happy with Austin Jackson at right tackle than they are with Eichenberg at left guard. And I'm going to be honest with you. Now that we're hearing that Isaiah Wynn's getting all this time at left guard, et cetera, was the orange practice jersey, was that basically their way of boosting Eichenberg's confidence, but quietly they're boosting that confidence because they want him to get confident at center because they like what they're seeing from Isaiah Wynn? You got to ask yourself. Just like I want to ask you guys in the comments right now. Well, we'll save that for the end there. But I want to hear right now, what do you think? Do you think Eichenberg wins the job at left guard or Wynn wins the left guard job? I want to hear right now, Eichenberg or Wynn. Who do you got winning this left guard job when it's all said and done by the end of camp? I want to hear your thoughts in the chats below. And finally, a little comedy here. In case you missed it, Mike McDaniel was on with Big Cat from Barstool, and it's nothing but Wynn. In the chat, we're getting Wynn. You know, we're getting nothing but Wynn love out here. Win. It's going down. Everyone win easily. Win for the win. I like win. I think win. I hope. Yeah. You're not the only one, brother. Win. So, yeah, y'all in the chat y'all are getting that sense of win right now, huh? Win at left guard. Win. Love it. Love. All right. Now, finally, a little comedy here. McDaniel, was he vaping? Were the rumors true?
Were you vaping on the sideline in Buffalo?
What?
You were vaping on the sideline.
Vaping?
There was a clip of you. You went
like water vape?
You went with your hand to your mouth, and it looked like you were vaping. Were you vaping?
I mean, what a confusing question. I don't know this technology you guys speak of. Having said that, I will leave you with this. In past lives, I have vaped.
Okay.
Regardless, just the idea of that being something that people are talking about after a playoff game is annoying enough to provoke me to never do it again, and I've since quit classic McDaniel style. Classic McDaniel style, cold turkey, just like alcohol. But as far as a game, I'm sorry. I wish I was better schooled on the subject. I just don't totally know what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, it's crazy people would even assume that.
All right. So there, hey, kind of danced around it, did a little rain dance around the answer, but it's still he's implying he was vaping. So, hey, kudos to him, but he's also quit cold turkey. So good for him. Good for McDaniel. Love it. Guys, I wanted to ask you in the comments right now, or in the comment section after we're done. We talked about Tyreek Hill. I want to get your thoughts. Do you think this offense goes as far as Tua takes it, or the offensive line takes it? I want to hear your thoughts. I already heard your thoughts. Do you think Eichenberg or Wynn wins at left guard? I also want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think this offense goes as far as Tua takes it, or as far as the offensive line? Because you know me, I've been an advocate for 3 years now. This team goes as far as the offensive line takes it. So I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you think on that? We got Tua, O-line, offensive line, Tua, O-line. It all hinges. Offensive line, Tua. Performance-wise, Tua in the line. Tua. Injured O-line won't matter. Tua takes 17 games. Both is not an answer, Chad. There's no answer in the both. We can't use both as an answer. O-line, definitely the O-line. So we got a lot of people lining up here and saying they believe it's going to come down to the O-line. Tua, definitely Tua. So it's mixture. It's a good mixed bag. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments section after this video goes up. Who are you putting it on? Tua starts in the trenches. Tua, O-line, sign O-line. Yeah, you like the Higbee idea, JC. I like that, huh? I'm here for it. Anyways, guys, I want to hear your answers. Leave them in the chat. Leave them in the chat. And if you're watching after, post and let me know. I want to hear your thoughts. So I'm going to get out of here. Don't forget, this week we got the finish line with me, Ballgame, and Richmond Webb. We got another episode of Fin Too Deep. I'm going to be live myself, and also maybe we're going to get into some Mitchell Agudier this weekend. We'll see how it goes. But we got a lot coming up, even for the slow season. I'm planning a lot of shows for you guys. Don't worry. We're going to take care of you, and we're going to give you top-notch content. And we're going to have some special guests, too. Don't worry. It ain't going to just be me. So, enjoy the Heat game. Go Heat. Appreciate all of y'all for tuning in. We had over 500 people tonight. Love all of y'all, man. Love all y'all so much. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. We passed 11.5 thousand yesterday. We crushed it. We got over 40 subscribers yesterday. Let's keep it going. Let's get to 12K. All right? And we got to get to 13 by the start of the season because that's the Marino number, and that's my lucky number. Love all y'all. See all y'all in the next one. Fins up all day, every day, even beyond the grave in which we'll lay. And I will see all y'all in the next one. Take it easy, guys. Have a fantastic evening.